Watch and burn.
Hey everybody. So tonight I'm going to be discussing Jello Biafra and No Means No, their collaborative effort known as The Sky is Falling and I Want My Mommy. And I can't remember when this record came out. I think it came out in like 91 or 92. Because I know I picked this up sometime after grade 8 and somewhere grade 8, grade 9. So that would have been 93, 94. And so yeah, it had to be out by then. So I think it came out in 91 or 92. The first thing you'll notice about this album is that it's sort of thin and tinny sounding. It reminds me, well, it actually reminds me a lot of the production and mastering that went into the Dead Kennedys' Gimme Convenience or Gimme Death. Found that it sort of had that telephone hiss mid-range that I know that the Manifesto re-releases took care of, because East Bay Ray and company were able to sort of EQ that out when they were remastering the record for the Manifesto re-release. But it seems like Biafra's production in general was always a little on the thin side. Like I always think of Bedtime for Democracy. The songs are amazing on Bedtime, but the production is so small and it's almost ineffective. Like it doesn't give the drums or the bass the heft that they deserve. Like whenever I think of like heavy drums and bass in the Dead Kennedys, I think of Plastic Surgery Disasters, because that record is huge and chunking, and it's like the bass and the drums are just all over the place, like they're bouncing off the entire spectrum, like they control that record. But then, like I said, with Bedtime for Democracy, and especially this record almost hurts my ears. The production aspect, it's so thin and sort of, it's like that tape hiss almost. Now, there is no tape hiss. There's no telephone hiss. But it's so thin sounding that it's like so metallic sounding that it hurts my ears. And then you toss in the fact that I believe there's 8 songs on here, and so many of them are way too long. Like, for example, Chew is, I believe, 8 minutes and 47 seconds. I don't love Chew. It's an okay song. It did not need to be 9 minutes. And then Too Many Sharks in the Gene Pool. It's a cool song, and I really like Sharks in the Gene Pool. But again, it's like 6:30 or 6:40, and it could have just as easily been 3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes. Shaving off those extra couple would have done it a lot of good. And that seems to be my overall issue with this release, is just the production is awful and the songs are too long. The songs on here that I love are the title track, The Sky is Falling and I Want My Mommy. That song's amazing. Jesus Was a Terrorist is super fun. Sharks in the Gene Pool, awesome again, little long. And my absolute favorite song on here is the album closer, The Myth is Real, Let's Eat, you know? But again, even that song, even though I love all of it, it's 5 minutes and 45 seconds when you kind of feel like it could have been 4 minutes and 45 seconds. And I do love how Biafra has that way of sort of blurring reality and fiction. How, for example, in The Myth is Real, Let's Eat, he says Brian Wilson's legs severed by a train and the crew sues him for stress. Now, Brian Wilson never had his legs severed. But what I like about it is it's sort of making the point that, yeah, his legs get severed, which means he lost his legs, but then the crew of wherever he was, on the train or whatever, they sue him for the stress that they underwent as the result of witnessing him being de-legged. And how absolutely absurd that is. Again, the myth is real. Let's eat. And it's kind of how everybody is now. Like, it doesn't matter if you were blown up in a car bomb. It seems to matter more that somebody was victimized by having to watch it on TV, and they're the ones suffering from PTSD, and they're the ones that need all the support, and they're the ones claiming to be victims, and there you are in a million pieces as the result of being blown up or some shit, and you've got the witnesses acting like it was worse for them to watch it than it was for you to go through it. So again, it's Jello Biafra attempting, and accurately, being able to accurately, I shouldn't have said attempting, accurately being able to sort of get his finger on the pulse of what was to come. And how America would very shortly after this record was released become obsessed with the idea of suing each other over pretty much nothing. And I also like how in The Myth is Real, Let's Eat, he discusses how hemp was originally used for any number of things, but then how Levi's and tobacco barons got it banned in 1937, which was true. Hemp was outlawed for mass use back in the late 30s. I believe it was 1937. So it's kind of fun that Biafra is again throwing in a piece of history that suddenly is very relevant as of the 90s, because once, I think, 1989 hit or 1990, reduce, reuse, recycle sort of became the mantra of the decade. Like, everywhere I went for the rest of elementary school, teachers always had those stupid blue shirts on with the white little, little arrows. It says reduce, reuse, recycle in the Cooper font. And So him talking about how hemp could be used to make more passable paper than an acre of trees, but it just isn't going to be allowed because a lot of logging companies were making a lot of money getting to tear the trees down to make junk mail that nobody reads, that there's no way that they're ever going to allow hemp to be used. Even though in situations like we find ourselves now in 2024 with the climate crisis, which I'm starting to think is a bit of a hoax, but nevertheless, we could still really clean up our act. I mean, it's wonderful that we're all sucking back on paper straws while people like Taylor Swift are taking a jet across the world to eat lunch. Paper straws, apparently there's some shit in the paper straws that fucks with your liver too. So don't use paper straws. Be a rebel. Use plastic. Go against the grain or whatever. But yeah, this record's cool. The artwork is Winston Smith again. It's so Dead Kennedys. It's so Alternative Tentacles. And I love the message. I love the attitude. And I love the songs. Well, not all of them, but even the songs I don't love, I still think they're solid enough. Just a lot of them are way too long. The production hurts my ears. And that is my major complaint with this, is the production is thin and tinny, and it's uncomfortable to listen to. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it. So thank you so much for hanging out with me for almost 7 minutes while I discussed, I think, the 1991 collaborative effort between Jello Biafra and No Means No, and that is The Sky is Falling and I Want My Mommy. Like always, if you like this review or you like this record, don't forget to go and do something nice for somebody. But like always, most importantly, never forget that the world is a way better place because you are in it. No matter what it is you're going through, just hold on, because at some point it's going to get better. I'm getting out of here. It's getting windy. Have a good night.